Music 6. Third quarter lesson 4. The instrumental sections of the Western Orchestra. Hi. My name is Teacher Ren. Before we start on our lesson, let us review on what we have learned in the past lessons about musical forms and different markings in music. Let us arrange the jumbled letters to form the correct answer. It is a form where the melody or rhythm corresponds to and is heard repeatedly in the entire composition. This section of musical form is labeled as A. The song Joy to the World is an example. The answer is strophic. This sign means to go back to the beginning and jump or proceed on the coda sign. Then answer is DCL coda. This musical form has 3 sections. The first section is labeled as A. The second section is labeled as B, and the third section is labeled as A again because it is just a repetition of the first section. The answer is ternary. This marking means to go back to the beginning and end at fine. The answer is DCL fine. The musical form that has 2 different sections. The first section is labeled A while section 2 is labeled B. The answer is binary.
Good job. If you got all the correct answers. Now let's proceed to our lesson. What is an orchestra? An orchestra is a large instrumental ensemble typical of classical music, which combines instruments from different families played together by the group of musicians. A large orchestra is sometimes called a symphony orchestra and a small orchestra is called a chamber orchestra. The orchestra is directed by a conductor. He or she helps the players to play together, to get the right balance so that everything can be heard clearly, and to encourage the orchestra to play with the same kind of feeling. Here is the sample of an orchestra playing Beethoven's symphony. There are different classifications of instruments in orchestra. The stringed instruments, the woodwind instruments, the brass instruments, and the percussion instruments. Let us identify each instrument that belongs to their classification. The string instruments. The instruments in the string family are played by using a bow or by plucking the strings. They are often referred to as strength of character of the orchestra. Below are some of the instruments of the string family. Violin, It is the smallest but with the highest pitch stringed instrument. It is played by moving the bow across the strings. It is also known as the heart of the orchestra. Viola. It is a little bigger and tuned a fifth lower than the violin. Cello. It is bigger than a viola but smaller than the double bass. It is tuned in perfect fifths and played by plucking the strings. It is held in between the knees while seated. Bass. It is the biggest and has the lowest pitch in the string family. It may be plucked or bowed while the player is standing because of its large body. Harp. It is made up of 47 strings. It has a wide range of pitches and can produce both very low and high sounds. It is played by plucking the strings. Woodwind instruments. The woodwind instruments are played by blowing air into a single or a double reed, which is attached to a mouthpiece. Reed is a thin strip of material which produces sounds in a musical instrument when it vibrates. Piccolo. The smallest woodwind instrument. It produces pitches that are an octave higher than flute. Flute. The flute can produce high-pitched sounds in rapid succession. Orchestral flutes are usually made of metal, although some are made of wood. Flute is an aerophone or reedless known as edge-blown wind instrument. Oboe. It has two reeds in the mouthpiece. It is considered the most expressive woodwind instrument. Clarinet. The clarinet is a woodwind instrument with only one reed. It can produce a wide range of low to high notes. Versatile sound. Bassoon. The biggest and has the lowest pitch in the woodwind family. It can produce a comic and unique sound, and why it is called as clown of the orchestra. Saxophone. A woodwind instrument but made of brass, played with a single reed mouthpiece. Its sounds is in the middle of the woodwind and brass sections. The brass instruments. A brass instrument is a musical instrument that produces sound by sympathetic vibration of air in a tubular resonator in sympathy with the vibration of the player's lips. Brass instruments are also called labrysons or labraphones, from Latin and Greek elements meaning lip and sound. Trumpet. The smallest and has highest pitch in the brass family. Trombone. It has a pitch that is little lower than the trumpet. It is the only sliding instrument that shifts pitch in any key. French horn. It has a long length of tubing coiled into a circular shape with flares into a bell at the end. It produced mellow sound and played by blowing air into its funnel-shaped mouthpiece. Tuba. The biggest and has the lowest pitch in the brass family. Sound is produced by vibrating lips into its cup-shaped mouthpiece. The percussion instruments. The percussion family is the largest family in the orchestra. Percussion instruments include any instrument that makes a sound when it is hit, shaken, or scraped. Snare drum. It provides a rattling sound in a composition because of the metal wires attached diagonally at its bottom head. Timpani. A single drum head that is definite pitch. It is usually played in pairs and its sound is produced by striking its drum head with a mallet. It is also called as kettle drum because of its shape. Bass drum. The biggest and has the lowest pitch percussion family. Cymbals. They are pairs of round plate-like instrument clashed together or played by striking them with a beater. Xylophone/marimba. They are a percussion instrument consisting of a graduated series of wooden bars, usually sounded by striking with a small wooden or mallet. Now, let's do the practice activity 1. Direction. Arrange the following musical instruments according to their classifications. Let's check if you got the correct answers. Good job! Now, let's do the practice activity 2. Direction. Write S if the given instrument is string, W if woodwind, P if percussion and B if brass. Write your answer in each blank. Let's check if you got the correct answers. Always remember, stringed instruments are played by bowing or plucking the strings. Strings instruments include the violin, viola, cello and double bass. Woodwind instruments are produced by blowing air through the reed of the mouthpiece. Some of the woodwind instruments include piccolo, flute, oboe, clarinet and bassoon. Brass instruments are made of brass, metal or silver alloys. Sounds are produced by blowing air into mouthpiece. The trumpet, tuba, French horn and trombone are some of the brass instruments of the orchestra. Percussion instruments give special color to a musical composition because of the variety of sound they produce. The snare drum, bass drum, cymbals, timpani, and xylophone are some of the percussion instrument of the orchestra. Okay, now, let us check what you have learned our lesson by answering the assessment. Direction. Identify the following instruments. Write the correct answer in each blank. Let's check if you got the correct answers. You're doing a great job today, kids. Happy learning. See you on our next lesson. God bless.